Have you heard of the gay fanfiction problem? Now I know that this term kind of looks like it was coined by some random Tumblr user 10 years ago, and that's because it was. But since then, it's seen actual use by linguists. So what does it mean? So imagine that you're reading a story about Jack and Jill and come across this sentence. You should automatically know what that means. Jack sees Jill. But now imagine you're reading a story about Jack and John and come across this sentence. Does that mean that Jack sees John or John sees Jack? Without more context, it's impossible to tell. This is the gay fanfiction problem, so named because fanfiction will often have lengthy sections in which two characters will interact with each other, with extensive use of pronouns. It's specifically gay fanfiction because English pronouns are gendered, which means this problem doesn't apply to straight fanfiction. So what's the solution? Well, you could always refer to a noun explicitly, but that quickly gets repetitive. You could also use synecdoche, which is when you refer to something based on one of its traits, but that feels kind of clunky. Honestly, there isn't really a great solution other than just restructuring the whole sentence, at least not in English. But other languages have workarounds. For example, some languages mark social status on their pronouns. So if the two characters have a different social status, you could use different pronouns for each. One of the coolest solutions, though, is obviation, which is a way of marking a noun as less important to the discourse. Now, obviation will manifest differently in different languages, but in Blackfoot, for example, nouns take different suffixes depending on whether or not they refer to the subject of the discourse. Take, for example, the sentence, John saw Jack and he smiled. In English, it's ambiguous as to whether he is referring to John or Jack. But in Blackfoot, there's no ambiguity. The pronoun would take a different suffix depending on whether or not you're referring to the most recent subject or the most recent object. But in my opinion, the coolest solution to the gay fanfiction problem is only possible in sign languages. Now, not all sign languages can do this, but many sign languages can spatially encode different pronouns. So if I signed a sentence about Jack in this general area, and then I signed a sentence about John in this general area, then later on, a pronoun in this area would probably refer back to Jack, and a pronoun in this area would probably refer back to John. How cool is that?